As the story goes, there was a watering hole, or several, out on the plains. The waters had begun to dry up as it was heading toward the summer months. And so the large pool of water had now settled in smaller holes. And of course, all the animals would still come to drink. The frogs, the giraffe, the zebra, the gazelle, even the Bengal tigers and the rams would occasionally visit the watering hole. Glad you all got the joke. But this story centers around a few frogs, in fact, 2 of them, always in competition with one another. And they thought, well, you know what? We will make a game out of this little watering hole that has now become little bitty holes to find water from. So we'll jump one hole to another and see who actually makes it. Well, they were doing quite well. The first and then the second, the first and the second. Then there was a little bit farther out. They said, okay, this will be the last one, and then we'll go off and do something else. The first one jumps, the second one jumps. They both land in the hole at the same time. And the hole is deep, and there's no water in it. All of a sudden, a little panic sets in. How do we get out? They started jumping, trying to reach the top, and they just were not far enough to grasp the top. They started croaking, and all the other frogs gathered around. They were smart enough not to get too close to the edge of the hole, but they would peer over, and the little frog fingers would do this constantly. And the frogs kept jumping, one after the other, one and then the other. After a while, one became so exhausted, and here's the very sad part of the story, spoiler alert, one of the frog dies from pure exhaustion, trying to escape that torment of the hole with no water in it. The other frog is not deterred, however, and figures, I will get out of this. Still just as exhausted, gives one more effort and leaps to the top and holds on with little froggy fingers. And of course, climbs out of the hole. Whew. Looks at all the other frogs and says, I thank you so much for your encouragement, and hops away. All the frogs look at each other like, encouragement? We're saying, hey, stay down there, man. You're going to die. It's too far up. You're never going to make it. And one frog turns to the others and says, didn't you realize? He's deaf. Frog is deaf. Could not hear, stay down there. All right. You like the tigers, Bengal tigers and the rams, much better than that. So enough of my halftime show for the day. But encouragement is what the one frog felt. In the gospel today, Jesus encourages everyone. He has just come down from a night of prayer up on the mountain. He has just chosen the 12 apostles. He comes down to what many consider to be the Sermon on the Plains, on the plain level area. A little bit different than Matthew's Sermon on the Mount, because these are not all blessings. They're the blessings and the woes together. But he addresses his disciples specifically. He raises his eyes toward his disciples, not the crowd. And he says to them, blessed are you who are poor, for the kingdom of God is yours. Blessed are you who are hungry, for you will be satisfied. Blessed are you who are weeping, for you will laugh. Your joy will return. Encouragement. They're saying, okay, so how is it encouraging when we move to the woes? Because Jesus also says, but you who are rich, woe to you. For your consolation is right now. Everything that you grasp and hold on to, that's your consolation. That's what you want. I encourage you to simply let go, to share, to look to the needs of others, and then become a greater sign of the kingdom of God. Woe to you who are filled now, for you will be hungry if you grasp and you hold on to all that you have, and you do not share. When it comes time for others to share with you, you reap what you sow. Share with others, that they in turn might share with you, and the kingdom of God will be further built up in your heart. Encouragement. And finally, woe to you who laugh now, for you will grieve and you will weep. In other words, taking things far too lightly, not looking around at the needs of others, not being prompted by the grace of God's Spirit to reach out to others who are truly grieving a loss, not being there in the name of Christ. Woe to you, for as you reap, so shall you sow. And there may not be anybody to console or comfort you when that time comes. So an interesting way of looking at encouragement, but it is encouragement nonetheless. Encouraging us to stay on track, to stay on target, because the disciples had just been chosen. They're coming down the mountain. They're looking around, and Jesus is talking just to them. And they're like, okay, Jesus, ready. Give me the deets. Give me the details. What do we do? How do we deal with this? What do you want of us? What do you ask of us? And the first thing is encouragement. Encourage those who have great faith to hold on to and live that faith more fully. Encourage those who take faith too lightly to understand what a grace and blessing it can truly be. Encourage all, by the grace and mercy of God, to be that blessing from generation to generation. Encouragement is so important. Parents, you know this for your children. Encouraging them so they do not lose heart. God encourages all of us. Not so much for our own strengthening of faith, because we are here at this moment in time, but strengthens us that as we go forth through these doors and into the world throughout this week, we might also be the encouragement of Christ to all, especially to those whose faith has been shaken, to those who find and fear they have no hope, to those who over the last few years still hold on to a sense of, will this be okay? Be God's encouragement and hope to those who are in need this week. God bless you always.